We are continuing our reading of Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Jai, Jai, Sri Chaitanya, Jai, Nityananda, Jai, Advaita Chandra, Jai, Gaura Bhaktivinda. Jai, Srila Gurudev ki Jai, Srila Guru Maharaj ki Jai, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki Jai, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai, and Srila Kṛṣṇadāsa Kavirāja Gosvāmī ki Jai. So we're in Ādi-līlā, chapter 17, and we're on text 59. So we've just been hearing about the Brahmana Gopal Kapila, who had offended Srivas Thakur, because during the nocturnal pastimes of the Lord, the chanting, the congregational chanting in the house of Srivas Thakur, some envious persons tried to come up with all different ways to discredit Srivas Pandit, and this particular Brahmana had set up all sorts of articles outside of his door one evening, so it looked like he'd been worshipping one of the demigods that's linked more to sort of things like meat eating, smoking, drinking wine, intoxicants, that sort of thing. And so Srivas Thakur called all of the respectable Brahmins in the village that morning and said, yes, look, I am indeed worshipping in this way at night. And they were all shocked and said, who could have done this? And anyway, then Srivas Chapala Bhatta, Gopal Chapala, then contracted leprosy, and he was suffering like anything. Mahāprabhu wouldn't at that time rescue him, even though he'd come to him and said, Prabhu, I know that you're the Supreme Lord, please save me. He said, you've offended Srivas Thakur. No, you can suffer 10 million births in hell. So now Mahaprabhu has gone to Puri and come back again, and Srivas Thakur, Gopal Chapala has gone to Mahaprabhu again, and Mahaprabhu said, first you go to Srivas Thakur, and then if he gives his forgiveness, then you'll be released. So that verse is, you have committed an offense at the lotus feet of Srivas Thakur. The Lord said, first you must go there and beg for his mercy. And then, if he gives you his blessing and you do not commit such sins again, you will be freed from these reactions. Tobe vipalaila asi Srivasa sharana, tahara kripaya haila papa vimuchana. Then the Brahmana Gopala Chapala went to Srivas Thakur and took shelter of his lotus feet. And by Srivas Thakur's mercy, he was freed from all sinful reactions. Ara eka vipra aila kirtana dekite, dare kapatana paila bitare raite. Another Brahmana came to see the kirtan performance, but the door was closed and he could not enter the hall. Pirigela vipragare mani dukkha paya, aradina prabhu ke kahi gangaya laga paya. He returned home with an unhappy mind, but on the next day he met Lord Chaitanya on the bank of the Ganga and spoke to him. Shapipa tomare mui pachi mano dukkha paita chindiya sape prapanna durmukha. That Brahmana was expert in talking harshly and cursing others. Thus he broke his sacred thread and declared, I shall now curse you, for your behavior has greatly aggrieved me. Sangsara sukha toma hauka vinasha, shapashuni prabhura chitte haila ulasa. The Brahmana cursed the Lord, you shall be bereft of all material happiness. When the Lord heard this, he felt great jubilation within himself. Pabura shapavata de shuni shradhavan, Brahma shapahete tarahaya paritana. Any faithful person who hears of this Brahmana's cursing Lord Chaitanya is delivered from all Brahminical curses. And Smarad Prabhupada says, one should know with firm conviction that the Lord, being transcendental, is never subject to any curse or benediction. Only ordinary living entities are subjected to curses and the punishments of Yamaraj. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is beyond such punishments and benedictions. When one understands this fact with faith and love, he personally becomes free from all curses uttered by Brahmanas or anyone else. This incident is not mentioned in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Mukunda dattare kaila danda parasada, kandila tahara chitira sabha avasada. Mahaprabhu blessed Mukunda Datta with punishment, and in that way vanquished all his mental depression. Mukunda Datta was once forbidden to enter the association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because of his mixing with the Mayavadi impersonalists. When Lord Chaitanya manifested his Mahaprakash, he called all the devotees one after another and blessed them, while Mukunda Datta stood outside the door. Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev. The devotees informed the Lord that Mukunda Datta was waiting outside, but the Lord replied, I shall not soon be pleased with Mukunda Datta, for though he explains devotional service among devotees, he then goes to Mayavadis to hear from them the Yoga Vasishta Ramayana, which is full of Mayavad philosophy. For this reason, I am greatly displeased with him. Hearing the Lord speak in that way, Mukunda Datta, standing outside, was exceedingly glad that the Lord would at some time be pleased with him, although he was not pleased at that moment. But when the Lord understood that Mukunda Datta was going to give up the association of the Mayavadis for good, he was pleased, and at once he called to see Mukunda. Thus he delivered him from the association of the Mayavadis and gave him the association of pure devotees. Acharya Goshaire Prabhu Kare Guru Bhakti Tahate Acharya Parahaya Dukkamati. Lord Chaitanya respected Advaita Acharya as his spiritual master. But Advaita Acharya Prabhu was greatly aggrieved by such behavior. Mangi Kare Jnana Magga Kaila Vyakhyana Krodaveshe Prabhu Tare Kaila Avagyana. Thus, he whimsically began to explain the path of philosophical speculation, and the Lord, in his anger, seemingly disrespected him. Tabe Acharya Goshaira Ananda Haila Lajita Haya Prabhu Prasada Kaila. At that time, Advaita Acharya was greatly pleased. The Lord understood this, and he was somewhat ashamed, but he offered Advaita Acharya his benediction. Advaita Acharya was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri, Ishwara Puri's spiritual master. Therefore, Ishwara Puri, the spiritual master of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was Advaita Acharya's godbrother. In view of this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu treated Advaita Acharya as his spiritual master. But Sri Advaita Acharya did not like this behavior of the Lord, for he wanted to be treated as his eternal servant. Advaita Prabhu's aspiration was to be a servant of the Lord, not his spiritual master. He therefore devised a plan to antagonize the Lord. He began to explain the path of philosophical speculation in the midst of some unfortunate Mayavadis. And when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard about this, he immediately went there and in a very angry mood began to beat Advaita Acharya. At that time, Advaita Acharya, greatly pleased, began to dance, saying, "Just see how my desire has been fulfilled. Mahaprabhu used to treat me honorably for so long, but now he is treating me neglectfully. This is my reward. His affection for me is so great that he wanted to save me from the hands of the Mayavadis." Hearing this statement, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was somewhat ashamed, but he was very pleased with Advaita Acharya. Murari Gupta Mukke Shuni Rama Guna Rama Lalate Likhi Latana Ramadasa Nama. Murari Gupta was a great devotee of Lord Ramachandra. When Lord Chaitanya heard Lord Ramachandra's glories from his mouth, he immediately wrote on his forehead, Ramdas, the eternal servant of Lord Ramachandra. Shridarera Lola Patre Kaila Jalapana Samasta Bhaktere Dila Ishtavaradana. Once, Mahaprabhu went to the house of Sridhar after Kirtan and drank water from his damaged water pot. Then he bestowed his benediction upon all the devotees according to their desires. After the mass Naga Sankirtan in protest against the magistrate Chand Kazi, the Kazi was converted to a devotee. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned with his Sankirtan party to the house of Sridhar, and Chand Kazi followed him. All the devotees rested there for some time and drank water from Sridhar's damaged iron pot. The Lord accepted the water because the pot belonged to a devotee. Chand Kazi then returned home. The place where they rested is still situated on the northeastern side of Mayapur, and it is known as Kirtan Vishramastan, the resting place of the Kirtan party. Haridasa Thakurere Karila Prasada Acharyastani Matala Kandaila Aparada. After this incident, the Lord blessed Haridas Thakur and vanquished the offense of his mother at the home of Advaita Acharya. And Prabhupada says, on the Mahaprakash day, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Haridas Thakur and informed him that he was none other than an incarnation of Prahlad Maharaj. When Vishwarup took sannyas, Sachimata thought that Advaita Acharya had persuaded him to do so. Therefore, she accused Advaita Acharya of this, which was an offense at his lotus feet. Later, Mahaprabhu induced his mother to take the dust of Advaita Acharya's lotus feet, and thus her Vaishnava aparad was nullified.
Sorry, can you repeat the offense, please?
Yeah. So, do you want me to read it or just? I can say.
You can summarize.
Yeah. So, when Mahaprabhu's older brother Vishwarup chose to take sannyas, then Mother Sachi thought that it was Advaita Acharya Prabhu that had convinced him to take sannyas, and so she was upset as a mum, and she, what did she say? She accused Advaita Acharya of this, which was an offense.
Okay.
And I mean, this is still the summary, so it's brief, but so then he's just saying that's to come. maybe we just read one more. Bhaktagane Prabhu Nama Mahima Kahila Shunya Paduya Tahan Atavada Kaila. Once, when the Lord explained the glories of the holy name to the devotees, some ordinary students who heard him fashioned their own interpretation. Name Stuti Vada Shuni Prabhu Rahaila Dukkha Sabareni Shedila Ihara Na Dekia Mukha. When a student interpreted the glories of the holy name as a prayer of exaggeration, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was greatly unhappy. He immediately warned everyone not to see the student's face henceforward. And then Sagane Sachelegiya Kaila Ganga Snana Bhaktira Mahima Tahan Karila Vyakyana. Without even removing his garments, Lord Chaitanya took a bath in the Ganga with his companions. There he explained the glories of devotional service. And we'll pause there and hear about the glories that he explained tomorrow. Shri Caitanya-caritāmṛta ki jai. Srila Krishnadas Kavirāja Gosvāmī ki jai. And so, continue reading from Affectionate Guidance. And we're in the chapter, The Voice of Sri Chaitanyadev. Jai Srila Gurudev ki jai. So, I'll just try and recap a little. Okay. So Gurudev was saying that in the Gita, Krishna is saying that there's 4 divisions divided according to a man's qualities and works. And then Gurudev's explaining how Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur showed that the Vaishnava is not just equal to the Brahmanas, but actually superior. Says, that is his real position. The position of a Vaishnava is never merely next to a Brahmana. The Vaishnava lives in the other world, the transcendental world of service, Seva Maya Bhumika, or Nirgun Bhumika, the transcendental plane. And Varnashram Dham is in the Sagun Bhumika, the plane of mundane qualities. But the attempt to rise above the Mayic plane comes within the purview of Varnashram Dham. Varnashramach charatvata purushina parapuman Vishnu aradyate panta nanyata tosha karnam. Almighty Vishnu is worshipped by the person whose practices conform to the social and religious duties. Varnashram Dham or Ashram Dham. In this world there is no other way to propitiate him. That's from the Vishnu Puran. Such a teaching guides the world toward the worship of Lord Krishna, but the Vaishnavas live in the transcendental world. For example, if you take prasadam, you are not taking mere rice, vegetables, water, etc. You are taking what was offered to Krishna. You cannot be responsible for any sin. The devotee offers everything for Krishna's pleasure. Tvayo pabukta Sri Ganda Vasolankara Chachita Uchishta Bojino Dashas Tava Mayam Jaye Mahi. Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 11. Adorned with the garlands, scents, and clothing enjoyed by you, and partaking of your remnants, O Lord, we, your servitors, can conquer your Maya. In this way, the eternally living and ecstatic Satchidanandamaya element that is present within is again fully manifest. Similarly, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami once again revealed to the world that which is eternal and ever fresh. Before his appearance, people might have been chanting the name of God, but how did they chant it? We also read this, but anyhow, I can read it again. They might have been chanting the holy name, but how did they chant it? In this time, he was the inaugurator of the genuine chanting of Harinam. Pritivite yata kata dhamma name chale, bhagavata kahi saga paripurna chale. Totalitarian war against Maya. What passes in this world in the name of religion? Everything is false. You are jiva-soul. Krishna is like the great sun, and you are like a sun ray. The sun ray must always be attached to the great sun. That is his nature. Krishna is like a big exalted magnet, and you are like iron. Therefore, he is called Krishna, meaning Krish, to attract, and na, to give joy. He attracts us and gives us ecstasy. This is Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's gift. Many acharyas such as Shankaracharya, Buddha, Ramanuja, Nimbaditya, Madhvacharya came and distributed the mercy of the Lord. But the supreme position was given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That was suppressed by the illusory environment. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami came, cleansed, and revealed that divine gem. He clarified to the world that the real position of Vainashram, he clarified to the world the real position of Vaishnavadam. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Now nobody can accuse the Vaishnavadam of being a lower class religion or conception. It can only be admitted to be greater than the greatest. He established, especially in Bengal, the renounced order of the Vaishnavas, Tridanda Sannyas. Previously, the custom was Ekadanda Sannyas of the Mayavadis. He established many things in a new light, in the pure line. The chanting process, the preaching process. He renovated everything and established the proper line according to the Vedic culture to take us to our supramental destination. Once, along with Srila Guru Maharaj, we visited his godbrother Suren Babu, a big pundit who was very much opposed to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. A big pundit who was very much opposed to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami also came to that meeting. Guru Maharaj gave his lecture, and after that, on the invitation of Suren Babu, that pundit gave his lecture. He admitted, we can now understand that we were wrong, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada was right. In my youth, I heavily opposed his preaching, but that was my great wrong. I now can say that he was upholding genuine righteousness, and all of us who opposed him were wrong. The Goshai, Pundits, Sahaja, all were wrong. At that time, so-called Vaishnavism was low-classism. But after Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, it again rose to its high, glorious position. You will see 2 lines of a special song at the front of our Nat Mandir. Ma talahari janakirtanarange, pujala ragapata gauravabange. This verse is the personification of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. What is the worship he showed us? And how is it executed? Both are shown here. Before, if a Vaishnava came to the door, everybody would think he was naked but for a kopan, or at least his cloth must be dirty, and he wore beads and tilak. Mataneda kopani padanake tilak gale mala. This was how Bhaktivinoda Thakur described the pseudo-Vaishnava. Eho taek kalira chela, like a servant of Kali, a devil. This whole anomaly was smashed by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. He established big mots and mandirs. He engaged all the fruits of technology and materialism, motor cars, printing presses, and so many things for spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. His preaching began at Uttadingi Junction Road in Calcutta. There was a 2-storied building with only one room upstairs. Downstairs, there were 4 rooms where 4 Vaishnava families lived, all his disciples. And with their donations, they kept him in the single room upstairs. I have seen that room personally. His preaching began from there. Later, he rented another house for preaching. Despite that humble beginning, the world can now see the result of the preaching of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. As described by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, Mahaprabhu has said, Pritiviteyache yata naragadi grama savatra prachara haibe moranama. From the Chaitanya Bhagavat. My name shall be preached in as many towns and villages that be in the world. As predicted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we can now see devotees chanting and dancing all over the world in the name of Nitai Gauranga. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra has spread all over the world. No doubt this knowledge is transcendental, but it is necessary to properly follow the line of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Otherwise, after a few years, or 50 or 100 years, all will fall into the pit of Sahajiism, imitation. We must be ever cautious to follow the principle of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Prabhupada. We have also seen that our Guru Maharaj could never accept anything but pure Vaishnavism. Many compromises have been seen in so-called Vaishnavism, but Guru Maharaj would never mix such alloys. His talks were always completely straightforward in the line of the pure, unalloyed devotion that was distributed in the world by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus, it is clear that Guru Maharaj purely distributed unalloyed devotion all over the world. We might have to pause. Gurudev's then going to go on to speak about then the preaching activities of Srila Prabhupada, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada. But yeah, I think we need to pause. What's that? Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we must ever be cautious to practice in the line given by our masters. And the protector of the guardian of devotion, the guardian of the pure devotion, Srila Guru Maharaj. Would you like to make any comments, Prabhu?
Sing?
Or sing?
Oh, sing.
Yeah.
Oh, sing, yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Hari-Raya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Hari Raya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopal Govinda Ram Shimadu Sudan. Kiridari Gopinath Madana Mohan. Shri Chaitanya-Nityananda Shri Advaita Chanda. Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Jaya Rupa Sanata Bhatta Raghunath. Shri Jiva-Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath. Echai Gosai Kori Charanavadan. Yahweh Vignana Shabishta Puran. Echai Gosai Nyamuri Taradas. Tasabaya Padai Numora Pachagas. Tadiracharana Shevi Bhakti Sanibas. Janame Moe Ādi-līlā. Echai Gosai Jave Bhaje Kolabas. Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakas. Anande Bolo Hari Braja Vrindavan. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Pana Koriyas. Hari Nam Sankirtan Gohe Narottam Das. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gauranga Gaurahari. Nitai Gauranga Gaurahari. Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana. Jai Sachinandana Gaurahari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama
Jai, all glories to Om Krishna Pad, Paramhamsa, Kavirāja, Kṛṣṇadāsa, Vari, Asatara, Sata, SCSMath, Bhakti, Sundar, Govinda, Dev-Goswami, Maharaj,
Jai.
all glories to Sri Om Krishna Pad, Paramhamsa, Kavirāja, Kṛṣṇadāsa, Vari, Asatara, Sata, SCSMath, Srila Bhakti, Srila Dev-Goswami, Maharaj, Jai, all glories to Om Krishna Pad, Paramhamsa, Kavirāja, Kṛṣṇadāsa, Vari, Asatara, Sata, SCSMath, Srila Bhakti, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai, all glories to Sri Kṛṣṇadāsa, Babaji Maharaj ki Jai, all glories to Sri Ananta Koti Vaishnava, Sri A.C. Satchidananda, Sri Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki Jai, all glories to Sri Jagannath Babaji Maharaj ki Jai, all glories to Sri Rupanuga Guru Varaka ki Jai, all glories to Namachar Sri Haridas Thakur ki Jai, all glories to Sri A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai, Sri Baladev Jabhusana ki Jai, Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Prabhu ki Jai, Sri Narottam Sharananda Srinivasa Acharya Prabhu ki Jai, Sri Ravidas Thakur ki Jai, Sri Kṛṣṇadāsa Kavirāja ki Jai, Jai Sri Rupa, all glories to Sri Rupa Sanatana Padavagana, Sri Jiva-Gopinatha-sriye Dasa Vagana, Six Gosvāmī Vrindavan ki Jai, Sarva Sadhu Sri Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai, Sarva Sadhu Sri Maharprabhu ki Jai, Jai Sri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shramakund Radha Kunj Givi Govardhan ki Jai, Sri Lakshmi Varaha Devi ki Jai, Sri Bhakti Vigna Vinashai Sri Nityananda ki Jai, Nakasabhaya Prahlad Maharaj ki Jai, Ganga Grantavaj Sri Bhagavatam Chaitanyadev ki Jai, Ganga Jana Marji ki Jai, Vishwa Vaishnava Vaishnava Sabha ki Jai, Toshi Bhavani ki Jai, Toshi Parikama ki Jai, Totalitarian ki Jai, Vishwa Vaishnava Vaishnava Sabha ki Jai, Totalitarian ki Jai, Sri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, all glories to all the assembled devotees ki Jai, all glories to Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, all glories to Sri Chaitanya-caritāmṛta ki Jai, all glories to the devotees all over the world ki Jai. This I go at Premanandi Haribo.